Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining Archangel Alts. Happy to be here again. And it's seeming like, unless the market just goes to an incredibly radical crawl, we'll probably need to do a couple of these a day. So that playlist will probably fill up sooner than just about anything else. As you can probably see, or maybe you can't see, I don't know. I've got this window kind of opened up larger than when we're doing our live trading, because the trades are down here. And right now I'm not signed in. I've been catching up everything, getting our playlist set up so you can find all the crypto watches, market watches, the crypto in the news. You can find the live trading and our tried and true trade updates. And we're going to get all the course tutorial type stuff all together in one place. Make it easy to find everything categorized by which thing it is, and they update, as I put the new videos in there. So super cool. But I've been organizing that stuff on the laptop, so I've been trading from the laptop while working on those, and we've cleared a good number of positions in our browser. Client's still waiting for the most recent stuff to catch up. Very interesting stuff going on in the market. So 50% may look like a lot for E&J, but that's coming down from 133%. So it is starting to slow down. Let's start at the start, where the beginning is. So going over here to BTC, Bitcoin, the giant speaks. Waking up the giant. All right, so my thing for, I guess, now would probably be about... Well, it's probably still within the week. As we had our... My goodness, is it amazing? We've come up from the 3500s up to 39, up to 39, up to almost 4,000, and then I think it did break 4,000 here. Pretty amazing. It would be wonderful if it was able to hold at 4,000. That means that we've broken through that important, 1,000 digit number and kind of start a new journey. So, a lot of people probably thought that's what was going on over here. This actually took place over a couple of days. Let me get it spread out so you can see that more. So, well, now I'm going to be playing the scrolling game. I don't want to do that too long. So, well, you can see a little bit of this, that, over the 23rd, this played out over many, many hours. And this will be going into the 24th probably, right about there, yes. So we hit the tip almost at 4,200, didn't quite make it through 4,200. And my goodness, look at how fast the sell-off was. So it actually started here. You can see this was more of a trend down than this was, but we saw the weakening in there. It went up sharply, came down sharply. If there was strength, it could have even gone up higher the next time sharp. Because, you can see that there's an upward trend, and it's still trying to, but it slowed down, and it made it from here as a low dip around 4130-ish, and it made it to that 4176 before starting to drop. It didn't recover much above that at this point. So these are all signs it was definitely going to drop. Now we have that rainbow shape that is so, significantly telling that it's going to do this. So we say I want to do this, except for, when it reaches down here, if your short was for it to go down in value, then you bought it at a higher value. That's what the buy-ins can represent. And you can sell them off at a lower value and make a profit of the difference in between. It's a crazy, crazy way of thinking about something that you want decentralized. The future is ... So through here, the 24th, it's amazing how it seems like a week ago, but it's only been a day and a half. So we're now living in the 3,800s again. Through all of that stuff, even as I was going beyond 3,900, saying that, if it's going up too quickly, we have to look at the volume. We looked at the volume, and after that spike, it dropped way back down. And so I said, okay, this is a concern. The volume's slowing down, which means it's either going to hold where it is. People are going to keep buying in, seeing the value in it in the 3,900s, or it's going to spike quickly, come down quickly, or when the down comes naturally, people aren't buying in, they're watching to see what's going to happen. there's going to be a gradual faster and faster sell-off. Well, this definitely wasn't the natural version of a sell-off. Let's go back to the 24th. If it'll let us get there, that would be good. Might be tough to get there. Nah, we're not going to get there in a minute. And this right here, I mean, even though it was 38.30 to 37.77, it was very significant. And the alts actually responded just as strongly, if not even stronger, to that. So you can see it didn't all happen like in 20 seconds. It took several minutes. But when we started at 8:55, and by 9:10 it was down to here. By 9:20 we were coming back up to here. So after more than an hour, it was stabilizing in the 38.20s. And we see that it bottomed out 37.12. And so I'm still singing the same song. We want to see it around 38.50. That's where it's strong for now. It's a little bit more of an instinct thing, but the math is behind the instinct, just from watching this stuff a lot. So once again, that feeling that that's where the average belongs. I was excited to see it head back up to 38.72. It had been 37.12, so 38.12 would have been 100. So that's more than 150 up, and that's a little bit too fast for, a 10, 12-hour stretch. So I was happy to see this, but I was expecting, the reciprocal. And, anything in the low 3800s is not as promising for it coming back up to an average. Let's see. Some reason the stream is offline. Why would that be? Okay, hopefully it's recovered for you guys on your end. Looked like the stream had a little bit of trouble there for a second. I actually did never notice that it was having trouble. So if you're watching, please subscribe, ring the bell, type to us in the chat. We love to talk back and forth. Please, if you do find any value from this, please join us in our group, archangelalts.com. We are growing the community. We're doing our soft launch. It's really fun to meet new people, and some people are already expressing how much they've learned, and they're trading at bigger percentages, and they've traded 5 or 6 times in a day when they hadn't done that much before. So it's been really exciting. We would love to have you there. That's what's missing from the community is you. So come and join us. I will make it easy for you to do so. I'm going to put this right in the chat, but we always include this information in the descriptions. I try to make sure that I don't make any mistakes in having the wrong descriptions in the wrong place. So they're just as easy as finding it in the chat as well. And fortunately, even with all the crazy stuff that's been going on, we are still actually maintaining our accuracy. So we're really, really happy about that. And, old positions we're still going to be waiting on for a while. Yes, it is true. But some of them have matured and already done their thing much earlier than I thought they would. So that's pretty cool, too. Hey, check this out. So BAT, Basic Attention Coin. I like to tease and call it Basic Attention Span. They are the ones behind the Brave browser. If you haven't heard of that, check it out. Really interesting stuff. And also, we try to keep up with all this stuff. So do check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Don't have as much going on Instagram right now. Trying to kind of get in that mode. Just how many places can a person be at one time? Well, AI will tell us for sure, right? I would believe so. So E&J is still at the top of the 24-hour list. It has been doing some pretty amazing climbing. You can see that started over on the 24th around, what would that be, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it rose all the way from 978 to what? Yep, 978 all the way up to 2,900. Unbelievable. So, you can see there were probably a couple places that were safe to get into there, but really tricky. I mean, anytime you see something like this, who knows when it's going to stop. it's obviously once it gets cranking, it's not natural movement. And unfortunately, if you thought that it was, then when we got up to that 2,900 range, what do you think would happen? What do you think would happen? My goodness, how long does it take to get there? Huh? How long does it take? Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, 2,800. So maybe you got in here, maybe you got in here. That would be really great if you did. But let's say that you were pretty sure that it was coming back up. You were just beneath the dip there. And then the next one was 27s. And you're thinking, okay, well, it's doing this and this and this and this. And okay, well, I'll get it on the next one. Well, oh, no. Well, that's only making it to the 26s. Well, I'll get it on the next one. Oh boy. So now I'm stuck up there. Well, when's the last time it was up there? Let's find out. 2,900. My goodness. Well, it wasn't in... It wasn't in December. It wasn't in November. It wasn't in August. In fact, it wasn't over the summer. In fact, it has been a year. More than a year. Could it be? Yes. So it's not that it couldn't possibly get up there. It's just, do you mind holding it a year? If you did catch it up there. Way on the hilltop. We're not even talking cliffs here. We're talking on the hilltop. So it was listed on Binance just about 15 months ago. And it did, this is a natural thing to have a really steep climb the first time around. When we get around here, we start seeing its true value. I would say, just to stay on the safe side, think of E&J as being worth about 900. That's where I would deal with my perception of that. So anything above here, guys, is pretty risky. But okay, so here we have 1,200. It peaked there right around December. I think that we have, this expectation that, everybody was saying that everything's going to moon again. Merry Christmas is coming. Unfortunately, that's not how things worked. So you can actually see some fairly similar correlations to some other coins happening the exact same way. But it is really significant that there is the power in the market for this much of a spike to happen. So we are seeing, we expected it here, we expected it here, we expected it here, we expected it here, and it seems to me like this might be the one that is starting to launch what could become the future bull run. I do not think that this is the start of the bull run. I think that this might be the sign that they, in quotes, people that have the most money to invest in this process. You can see this over and over in these different coins. Theta is a very interesting one. I like the fact that there was steady stuff for a while. It really kicked up. See, okay, oh my gosh. So many things to share with you. Okay, so let's just look at Theta back here. This was only, at the start of the year. So this was actually the first sign of what's going on now. That was back, the very start of the year. Then it returned, and it returned with an uptrend. So already 1,500 was looking good for Theta. When it returned the next time, it was not only taller, but it was in a shorter frequency of time. Faster frequency, shorter period of time. Higher at 2,000, higher at 2,700. Tiny bit higher, actually. And so now, this, some people could have interpreted as, kind of a loss in that steam, but this was where Bitcoin was also going down. So, shooting up way up to here, I think is an overvalue of where it's going to come back down. It's more likely going to be in the mid 2000s. It was able to hold that all the way back here. And what was that, July? And it was first listed back in, I guess, around May. So 4,000, not an accurate read. They always come down. Here's the crossover on its current lifetime. So yeah, about 2,400. So I would stay safe in the 22-ish range. Not assume too much more if you're kind of going for longer term stuff. Just be careful. Don't get stuck at the edge of the cliff. We've all done it. We'll all probably do it, again. But It's just important to try to avoid that. So you can see these new spikes are happening all across the board. Of course, these are the easiest examples to see because they're at the top of the 24-hour. Raven, I really care about what Raven's able to do. We were trading in Raven really towards the early part of its game, so it has a shorter history here. Let me go to about a 6-hour maybe. So you can see, I mean, this is substantial for one single move. It did a lot up here. We just need to see a lot more. Is 6 enough to see the whole picture? Well, enough of it, sure. So, you know, this was expected. This was expected. I just, you know, when we were in here, we thought that this was a safe valley. We thought that this was a safe valley. We got kind of stuck around here. So, you know, we figured there's plenty of time to read the action, but it came down really hard with Bitcoin. So that was not helpful. And could you guess when this was around? Yes, it was around the hard fork. Of course it was. Of course it was. So anybody that is just joining us now, thank you so much for joining. We welcome you. We hope that it is not the most difficult thing to find. Being a new channel, you know, YouTube makes you really work hard for the algorithm. So we're just trying to cover things that are extremely important in the crypto market and hoping that we can pick up enough ears to listen. So you matter a lot to us, and if you find any information helpful, please share it with other people if you do any of the social stuff. We're trying to, you know, be about none of the hype and all of the absolute, you know, true information for the market, for the news, for live trading, and teaching you how to do the live trading, joining us, you know, alongside with our subscription so that you get a lot of information that we probably, I mean, from our perspective, from what we've learned over the past more than a year, there's not a whole lot, even from the quote-unquote experts that I genuinely agree with. So we have, you know, at the very minimum, we're providing you a very unique perspective on things, but we think that you'll find a great deal of value in that. So that's looking at Raven. We'll always probably come back around to looking at that. I just, you know, it's an interesting project that a lot of people have shown a lot of interest and faith in the past, but people become very disheartened very quickly. And it's understandable, you know, if you put too much in something that you believed in too early and then it has to sit through that 60% drop. And then you wait for it to come up and it comes up 10% and then it does the 50% drop. And then it comes up 7% and does another 60% drop. It's a little bit disheartening, I can understand. So Ion is getting a little bit of a boost. That's good. I think we need it in our 400s-ish range. If you look where it was, and of course that's actually 299 would be 2900 in reality. They lop off one of the decimal positions to increase the trade size. You know, you can't go into microscopic trades, so it actually helps the overall value, which helps it to climb quicker, which makes a whole lot more sense. So that's really cool. But, you know, if we were somewhere in this range, you can kind of look at that being a third of where it was before. So, you know, hence the 60% drop we were talking about. And that was, you know, a drop from where it was worth before, what it was worth before that. So now when we get into the 10K instead of the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,000 range, you know, you're actually talking about an entirely new decimal. So, I mean, that's pretty significant. Boy, wouldn't it have been nice to just kind of have a position sitting right there around 4,000 on that day. Yes, it would be. Okay, so Ion, you know, unless they're just a horrible team, you know, we'll actually take a look at them. We're going to do an instant insight on every single coin. We're going to do a basic overview that is interesting to everybody. And then for those that are interested in the more advanced stuff that are going to subscribe to the channel, we'll also have, you know, the in-depth, you know, the deep dive on all the different coins. Oh my goodness, excuse me. I had a micro burp in there. All right. I have spared you from what came next. Okay, you know, little reminders that I'm a guy. I know, okay. But I'm a pretty decent guy. I don't like to burp in microphones. I just think that's not a good idea. So, what is the vibe on Vibe? There's actually a lot more movement happening in Vibe than some of the other coins. Let's see what that looks like when we zoom in a little bit more. You can see that this is good trading range, this is good trading range, this is good trading range. Pretty much anybody would be able to see that there's more room to do stuff in here, you know, in these areas. So like right here, 990, we would only really need to get about here. About that range right there is all you need to make a good profit. So, you know, by good profit, you know, the idea that trading works by, you know, waiting for a group to line up and give you a symbol or do an organized pump and then you get 30% or 100%, or, you know, you get stuck at the top like so many people do, and then they say, hold on to it might pump again. That's not trading. And nobody in traditional, you know, stock trading, short trading, anything expects, you know, 7%, 30%, 50% to happen all the time. And, you know, certainly not on, you know, your entire principal. But, you know, even more riskily speaking, not on, you know, single trades or single clusters of trades. It's just, that's not what you're trying to accomplish when you trade. So, yes, we are leaning more towards the extreme of smaller positions more often, because that's, you know, first of all, that's always going to work in the market better than waiting for 7 to 10%. Most of the 5 and over percent that happens in the market most of the time is going down. And even in a bull run, you're going to see sharp downs happen right after your positions if you're waiting that long. And then, you know, long 10-day, 20-day, 30-day gaps between the next time that it goes up in a bull. So, you know, just consider all those things when you're trading. We would like to see TNT be able to get through the 500s. That would be really cool. BCPT, you know, kind of the same thing. It's finding a little bit of a plateau. And all of this, you know, I'm not going to go through every single one of these. Finally, Key found its way to the 70s again. It was kind of getting stuck down here. We're not actually expecting anything from Key ourselves. We have some ridiculous early positions when it first launched, and we learned that lesson. We made a lot of money back and forth on Key, and then we got stuck when the massive sell-off happened, and it was a foolish thing. Months and months and months and months and months ago. You live, you learn. But I was really good at trading it at that pace until that happened. So I am still kind of proud of what we accomplished in that time. So Phoenix is Phoenix Rising. This is PHX Red Pulse Phoenix. Seems like a really good project. I'm surprised that there's not more happening for them. I think that a lot of these, you know, it's a matter of they need to learn their marketing stuff. So you can see that, you know, things are not leaning so super fantastic towards the stable coin side of things, you know, either. It's not just the alts. But I wanted to come back over here to Bitcoin because I didn't fully cover all of the stuff on the things. So anybody that's joining us right now, please say hi in the chat. Love to share and interact. Please subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up. Get in touch with us. Join our group at Archangel Alts. The link is right there for you. It's free to join. Our subscription is going to go much more in advanced in the news and crypto analysis for each individual coin, for doing live trading with you. You know, we'll be doing the live trading anyway. It'll always be a part of the free. All of these things will. But with the subscribed version, you know, it's $99 reoccurring. And that comes down to about $3 a day to, you know, really step up your game on your trades and learn things that I don't think you're going to find elsewhere. Working really hard to start getting more of that content ready for you. But in the meantime, we'll always have Q&A to help you through, you know, the current market. So looking at Bitcoin, what I see is that it's starting to wind down here. And usually, well, I mean, in these days, it's hard to tell because this is a very organized effort. It's not a lot of, you know, kind of quote unquote free, you know, market movement. But as it gets into here, we're seeing the volume has dropped from about 240 million down to 144 million, and now it's down to 113 million. The market has been kind of surviving on about 60 and 70 and 80 million dollar circulation in Bitcoin to trade against in the volume of all the alts that trade against Bitcoins. So they're measured in their volume by how many Bitcoins they're worth. So they're always going to be linked to the intrinsic value of Bitcoin one way or the other. The question is how long that lasts and whether they fall out of sync, resync, or just kind of do their own thing for a while. A lot of times they have the muscle, or they lack what it takes to stay in sync with Bitcoin. So if you imagine, like here, BCPT does this normally, but it's doing that against a zero baseline, and then on top of that, you have Bitcoin doing whatever it does. It's going to move its own pattern and add those two together live, and it's constantly updating. So the best thing that I can recommend for you, the best thing that you can do for yourself, if you're trading on a laptop or you're trading on a desktop, have an extra laptop or a tablet or a smartphone that you can be watching Bitcoin in. Just let it sit there passively showing you Bitcoin. That way you don't miss things while you're in the process of trading. And especially if you're like going in on positions and testing things, you might be canceling out and trying a new position, and then Bitcoin takes a dive or a huge jump up. You might decide, cancel out of that one is probably going to make my coin drop down. On the flip side of that, if it starts shooting up, you might want to say, let me go ahead and get my limit order like right here, because it's been doing this and this and this and this over and over again. The next time that comes around, I can have a high expectation that it's going to do it all over again. So overall, we're seeing a lot of movement in coins that have been kind of low and stagnant for a while. One thing I'd like to point out, poor Ontology was getting in the 20s. Yeah. We were so happy to see it getting closer and closer to the 3000s. Once it broke through there, that would be really cool. But this is what's happening with the weakening of Bitcoin, and unfortunately these guys are going to go down with it. But it depends on how long that lasts. See right here, everybody was like, oh my gosh, XRP moon. Well, it's listed on Coinbase. That should be all it takes for mass adoption, right? It doesn't look like it to me. It looks more like to me that what matters is how they sync up with Bitcoin. Bitcoin. So, I've got a lot of, I don't want to sound like a Bitcoin evangelist, but I am, absolutely looking at, the world and the trading world both benefit from, a steady, safe market, and by steady and safe, I mean that, whatever growth that is happening brings stability, which means that there's something other than the stock market to trade upon. And as that grows, people can grow crypto wealth while still having exactly the same amount of money invested in the market. So, all of the growth is going to be comparatively linked to Bitcoin. That's why it's smart to trade against Bitcoin. And I'll mention, over and over again, probably just to make sure that we all understand the same thing, that there's going to be the buzzword of decoupling from Bitcoin. This is going to be the year for coins like XRP, maybe Litecoin, definitely Ethereum, definitely Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin Cash. This one and the other one. My goodness, what you doing down there, ABC? I thought you were part of the boost there. The idea that they want coins to be able to have their own motion, their own movement, their own growth without it relying on the growth of Bitcoin. And that's kind of like, the global economy saying, if we just add, China's currency to a, tradable standard, in the World Forum on the World Bank, World Monetary Fund, all these, trying to back the Chinese thing too quickly, and they crashed their market 6 times in a row, and yet it's still there. Just putting it there doesn't mean so. XRP is not there to mass adoption yet. They're doing a good job at what they do. Don't hate Ripple for being Ripple. It is a real coin. It is a real project. I would certainly rather see it succeed over JP Morgan's thing. Pocoin. No, it's doing fine. It's doing all right. So fun, really silly to see it drop below 100. We need to see a strong fun is in the 200s. I don't know enough about the project to recommend it, but that's part of what we're going to be doing is looking into the analysis on all of those. It all offers me an upper hand to give you more good information, better, more often, all the time. Yo. So that'll be a good thing for us to be able to go deeper in depth. There's a reason that I like the coins that I like. That will shift, if they make extreme moves up and down. It's not, I don't have an intense embrace loyalty to only specific projects. But I do find some more interesting than others, and I do think that they work towards mass adoption in their own way. So all that is kind of interesting. I think that you would find it interesting too. So Lind, a lot of these that grabbed that spike, that was really fun. It was kind of invigorating to see the process happen. But the inevitable is going on. Things are slowing down. It's not a natural process that's taking place right now. So a lot of the things that we want to be sharing with you, philosophy is an incredibly important aspect of what's happening in the market. It's simplified down to fear, uncertainty, doubt, FUD, and fear of missing out, FOMO. And that's actually going to be the next non-live trading video that I make, is going to be exactly on that topic. And I think I'm probably going to switch over there soon because, you kind of get the whole idea of what's going on with the market. You see a lot of the same things with each of these coins. Their lifetime doing, sad things. And if you zoom in here, you see a microcosm of exactly the same thing that happened up here. And now we're working our way back up. And I've actually saved some documents to help you see, it's not just me showing you in the visual on the charts, but you'll see it in indexes that show you the movement over time, and lots of that red and negative 80%, negative 89%, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll go over all that kind of stuff. But yes, a lot of what we want to share with you is going to be, about the philosophy behind decentralization, about the moves in the market, what that does to the person's mind, not just FUD and FOMO, but the other thoughts and emotions that enter in. Because we are, manipulation in the market is done by people that are powerful with a lot of money for a reason, because it works. We're all susceptible to the emotion and the thinking that latches onto that emotion. When we see this, it takes training to have a healthy mix of optimism and mistrust. So that's why, success in trading is to test and retest things. And even then, all of us are going to be wrong at some point in time. The best bots where they say we're taking the emotion out of trading, I haven't seen something that really honestly does in the 70% range. I've seen them say that it does. I've seen people claim this has been working for me 80% and better. But you have to think about how much value has to be in your stop loss and those that you are wrong about, in order to counteract whatever positions, the percentage that you have in whatever positions are up, so that you make forward progress. So somebody, very often I see one thing happen where they mention, we're up 300% in our VIP group. And they'll show this coin did 10%, this coin did 13%, this coin did 30%. And psychologically, you look at that and say, oh my gosh, I need to go join that thing. I mean, who wouldn't? 200%, that's unheard of. You get 2% in a month and you're crazy. But I mean, they may have lost 170%, and they're not talking about every single member. They're talking about what the coin range actually did. Like, let's say, for instance, I'm going to give you a visual example here. I'm going to do this in separate videos too. Let's just say here that they, gave a mark, hey, go in here. And it goes up here, and let's just say that that was 10%. So they say, boom, our VIP group earned 10%. Well, I mean, what if you didn't go right up to 86.16? In fact, who would be crazy enough to do so? Because if, what about 86.76? What about 86.59? And what if it didn't clear everything? You can see how long this candle is. It may have run out of volume on yours somewhere around here and may not have been able to clear all of your position. But even more so, most people probably would have gotten in here and maybe gotten up there or so and gotten a healthy percent, but that's fine. So, you report, hey, 10%, boom, 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 boom. Now, let's say, they do another one on a totally different coin and they say, get in right here. This is the bounce. And you're going to sell it off at $94.99. And you get in here and then it does this instead. Well, I mean, was the stop loss set here, 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 here. They may use the Fibonacci sequence or something else, ladder technique, whatever it is that's going on, which, I mean, the ladder is really only smart if you, well, I mean, really, if you're a beginner, you don't plan on getting good, and you have a lot of money, then you will make more than you lose. And if you set all that exactly the same, then you'll end up with some money at some length in time, to be determined. But so let's say that you got stuck in this and you either took a -3 or a -5 or a -7, or you had to just manually clear because, the thing is just doing terrible. Or maybe you hold and you get out here, or maybe you held and, oh my goodness, everything came out fine. As far as that example, most people probably would have lost money around here. I don't know if I'm in the same place or not, but you understand, I'm just giving this for an example. But still, that group is going to say, join, 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 we made 10%. Our VIP members saw a 10% gain. Well, I mean, they didn't ask. There are results, but I mean, I've watched the results in those groups, and, more people comment on losing than gaining because, people tend to comment when they're frustrated by something. They don't necessarily take the time to let other people know what's going on when something greedy that only affected them happened. So, I mean, yes, some people will report because they brag. So let's say, you have another example like this and it was 20% and 30%. You say our VIP members got 30% off for a total of 200% profit just in the past week. No. Yes, I mean, let's say that they got 170% profit and they lost 140%. That's still a really big profit on the upside, right? But what they're also not telling you is that it's a collective of a conglomerate of different signals coming from different people. They're taking one guy's, $1,500 a month program of signals and another group's, $2,000 signals and all these things. They say $30,000 worth of value and all these different signals that you get for only, $50 a month. So they're stealing from other people's signals and then giving it to you in the group. And then you have that, collective. Well, I mean, some of those happen, there's like 3 or 4 happening at the same time. And one of them may have had a really good safe, 7% up with a, 12% stop loss or a 7% stop loss or 3%. The ideology is different and all those things. But they'll, put the collective of those things together, and nobody could have possibly put, unless you have hundreds of Bitcoins, nobody was thinking in terms of putting money into every single one of those options. And once again, they will double up and say, well, if we have 10, this is another example of what's done, but, if we had 10 members that were all buying this, collective thing, then they'll stack those opportunities on top of say, 200% profit may have actually meant 10 people that had the opportunity to get 20%. The other thing that you'll find that these groups do is that they will report 200% profit, on a pump, or 30% profit on a pump, or whatever the percentage is. But they are taking the amount of a trade and then not telling you about the margin. They basically said, I'm loading up $1,000 on this exchange, and then I'm going to allow the exchange, to approve me for a loan for 10 times that amount. So I have 1,000, but I'm going to invest $10,000 in this position and earn 7% on that, and then sell that off. And now I, pay, the percentage for that leverage, and I'm back to my $1,000 plus 7% on 10,000. So it was, it was a 10x increase in what the other actual value of that position was. So, all of this is, deception to make you think that more is happening than it is. Truth of the matter, yeah, you could go in with 10 grand and go into a pump group, and you could get in within the millisecond that it went up and do a market buy, which is extremely risky. And within the first second and a half, you bought it before it started coming down. And you may grab 20-30% from that. And there's just as good a chance that you are going to go from 10 grand down to 7 grand in 3 seconds. That is gambling, not trading. So you haven't learned a skill. You've learned that there's a chance that if you do this right, it's going to go soaring. But the only people that are guaranteed to make money in a pump are the people that had their money there before the pump began. They already have it. at a buy-in position. They'll just say, okay, well, this coin, we've chosen it because it's low. It's low in volume. It's low in everything else. You can always go and examine, whether there are any spikes before a pump, or, it's easy to avoid that by just putting in, $1,000 at a time or $100 at a time, instead of just buying a Bitcoin or 10 Bitcoin worth of something before you pumped a group. So, everybody else gets the message after, long after you've already got your money sitting there. You can already have your position chosen, well within a conservative, let's say that you're promising a 300% pump, and you have your position set at like 30 or 40%, and then you tell everybody what the coin is, and then I'll go diving in with their market orders, and your trade gets filled, well into the 2-second range. And then everything else you don't care about because you don't have any trading skills. So, do not fall for all this fluff. I can dispute, I can knock down any claim that anybody is actually doing that kind of crazy percentages. It's, either fake or so risky that the only people guaranteed to make out with it are the ones that either understand the signal so well that they did something very smart and careful with it. And that information, unfortunately, is being stolen and resold on Discord or Telegram, or it's a pump, and the only people that are guaranteed to make money off of that have already put their money in and are just waiting for you to fulfill their positions for you. So, bad idea. So we've been talking about Steam for weeks, and this was actually, I think, a better sign than just the things that others have been spiking recently. I hope that that's the case. I've noticed on Twitter people are kind of picking up pace talking about Steam. Is kind of exciting stuff. Just clicking at all of these and looking at it one day, I think that is very interesting to see the similarities. But as the market is weakening a little bit right now, and it's also, it is in that, kind of lazy afternoon going into the evening period of time that typically is a little bit slower in trading. So just be very careful. Slow and steady wins the race every time. I mean, you don't got to be no turtle. I mean, I like getting in and out of fast positions, but the expectation of understanding how the market works, just watch very carefully for the right trends, and you'll get there, and we'll help get you there. So I don't really think that there's a whole lot more to go over right now. I hope that you found this interesting. I'm going to come back on working on a series of videos, some of them for the free channel, some of them for subscribed, and for the paid subscription, Forever Unlimited, where you get everything. $3 a day it breaks down into, to do $99 reoccurring. So please, even if you see this after it's done being live, please drop us a note. We always like hearing from you. We want you to be a part of our community. We're not just trying to rake in, members. We're really interested in having the back and forth and making this a journey that we're on together. So, YouTube, subscribe, ring the bell, leave us a thumbs up, even a comment. And I like to look over the comments and improve them so we don't get, nasty or really stupid people that aren't really involved in the conversation. There are no stupid... Yes, there are... Well, okay. That's for a whole other conversation. But please do join us at Archangel Alts if you want to test us out. Even if you do the paid subscription, you get 3 days before it's charged, so you can check everything out first. But once we see you there, we will be working with you on all of the advanced stuff, Q&A, while we're developing all the material and courses that will follow in the future. So thank you so much, guys. And for now, Archangel Alts out.